Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy, Spiritual Master, logging in, back again with another video. We are back. You know, I got my water with my electrolytes. I got my nice little spiffy vest. I'm feeling very sophisticated today. Whenever I have this on, you know I'm trying to sweat, bro. This is like a thermal whatever. But yeah, man, we are back with another message, man. I know you see the title of the video. It's going to be another day where it probably is going to rain again. The wind is blowing, the birds are chirping, the trees are swaying in the wind. But we have a very divine message for you today, man. This is a message the universe wanted me to put out to you today. This is a message from Spirit. You see the title of the video. We're not going to waste too much more of your time. So, ladies and gentlemen, generational curse breaker. Dun, dun, dun. The role of the generational curse breaker, ladies and gentlemen, is not for the weak. Isn't that right, trees? This role that there's a lot of people in the world that are realizing that they're generational curse breakers. This is not a fun job. This job is not for the weak. This is one of the most difficult jobs that any soul can take on when they come to earth. This is not easy. This is a selfless position. This is a job where you go through the most hell, where people in your family, friends, it don't matter. You're not going to get the credit that you deserve. Instead, you're going to get judged. You're going to get abused. You're going to get made fun of. You're going to feel like you can never catch a break. Things don't go your way. You may, look, if you've ever felt like you are an outcast, if you ever felt like you didn't fit in, or you just were, you weren't popular, or whatever the case may be, this video is for you, bro. You might be a generational curse breaker. Right, birds? Yes, sir. You might be a generational curse breaker and you don't even know it. This is not a fun job. The reason why I say this is, even though it's not a fun job, it can be one of the most fulfilling jobs anybody or any soul can ever do, bro. It's not easy. Generational curse breakers go through the most hell. They're the ones who have the invisible illness. They're the ones who, bro, have ailments that nobody can understand. They have diabetes, they have cancer, they have all these different ailments. The role of the generational curse breaker is the person who goes through the most hell. Now, Spiritual Master here has been blessed. I've been blessed because I've lived a pretty healthy life. I've lived a pretty healthy lifestyle. But I've always had ailments. I've always had different issues. I've always had different small little quirks or little anomalies. Right? But the role of the generational curse breaker is a role that is not for everybody, because you've been chosen by God for a higher purpose. You've been chosen by God to deal with more, to handle more. You have more on your plate than anybody else can understand. Like, for example, right, in my life, right, I do everything I'm supposed to do. Everything I'm supposed to do. I go to all my appointments, right? I go to all my doctor's appointments, all my dentist appointments, all my just regular human being things, right? Regular stuff that a human being should do. And then some. I work out every single day. I take care of myself. I take pretty good care of myself. But guess what? Sometimes the generational curse breaker is put in a position where it seems like they don't take care of themselves. I don't think you understand what I just said. I don't think you understand what I just said. Sometimes the generational curse breaker goes through things that most people can't understand. This is the analogy that I would like to give you, right? Imagine if a regular person takes a shower, right? They leave the shower. They can wait maybe a couple days before they have to shower again. Generational curse breakers, they can't do that. It's like they get out of the shower and then they get dirty again. To the point where people are like, man, do you ever take care of yourself? It's not an easy job, bro. It's a very selfless job. It's a job that you're not gonna get credit for. You're gonna always have people judging you for, because they can't understand it. They're trying to deal with the regular stuff. They're trying to worry about what their wife thinks or what their wife is doing. Meanwhile, you're trying to heal generational trauma. It's not easy, bro. It's not. It's a tough job that a lot of people, I feel like, they either take on or they don't. Period. That's it. So, in my opinion, man, birds, what you think? They agree. It's not an easy job. You do everything you can to take care of yourself because you have more on your plate. You are healing generational curses, bro. You are healing lineage of trauma. Trauma that's been in your generation, your great-grandmother, your great-great-great-grandmother, your great-grandfather, everybody in your lineage is being healed. I'm about to give you a religious analogy, right? If the devil's not bothering you, right? If the devil leaves you alone, you should be concerned. The devil only bothers and the devil only messes with the people with a higher mission and a higher purpose in their life. As they say, if you ain't got enemies, you ain't trying. If you ain't got enemies, you ain't doing it right. What did the Green Goblin in Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, what did he say? He was like, you become a hero. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not saying exactly what he said, but it was along the lines of you become a hero long enough, right, for them to turn on you and to start hating you. The higher the purpose in your life, the more you may not have friends. You may not have people like you. People may give you the side eye, bro. As Haitians call it coupé. That's what Haitians call it. I'm Haitian. You may have so many people just give you the side eye because they're like, dang, why he has all that energy? But they don't even realize that you're admiring this energy and I'm not even in my best form. I'm not in my final form yet. I'm not in my best version yet. The role of the generational curse breaker is not for the weak. It usually happens in steps. There's usually steps that happen that lead you to become a generational curse breaker. Step one, it usually begins when you're a young child, when you're a kid. That's where the trauma begins. This is usually when you have to deal with a lot of abuse, right? A lot of neglect. Maybe one of your parents neglected you. They never took care of you, right? Maybe a father was absent. Maybe a mother was working 24/7 and never had time to nurture you. So therefore, whenever you started dating, you had to go out and seek validation from other people. Maybe that's you. That's usually step one. Step one is survival. This is the steps and the timeline of a generational curse breaker. This is how it normally takes place. Step one is the survival. This is when, as a child, you're looking around and you're just accepting everything as it comes to you because you don't know what's right and what's wrong from a standpoint of what is life supposed to be like. A lot of times your parents, they didn't want you, bro. You were a mistake. Now, in the grand scheme of things, right, from a conscious standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint, of course you have a purpose. Of course you're not a mistake, right? But in terms of the character, in terms of the physical storyline that you're living out, that you're playing, you were a mistake. You weren't planned. So therefore, they had to survive and do the best they can to take care of you. This is where most of your trauma came from, right? That's step one, survival. You're just trying to get by. You're just trying to get through. Then step two, ladies and gentlemen, ooh-wee, I'm getting chills. The hair on my arms are standing up. That's the universe. I mean, it is pretty chilly out here. We are in October, okay? But ladies and gentlemen, the hair on my arms are standing up. Step two is desperation. Step two is after you go through puberty, you start going through desperation. This is usually when you're thinking to yourself, okay, what can I do to make it? How can I get out of this hell? What career path can I go down? What can I do? Right? This is usually when you start going to college just because you want to just leave the house. Ain't that right, trees? You leave the house just so that you can free yourself. Go to college, get a generic degree in business just because, right? This is where you get drunk and you get crazy just because you're trying to find happiness because your entire childhood was miserable. So you seek validation in friends, you seek validation in girlfriends and in relationships, right? In sex and all these things. You attach yourself to these external things. And this is where people develop addictions because you think that you're just addicted or that I really like it. No, it's because you have trauma and you're trying to feel better. So then when you have sex, dopamine is released in your brain it makes you feel better for the time being. You see? Okay, step 3 on the timeline of becoming a generational curse breaker. This is my favorite one. Love. Ooh, the wind started blowing, ladies and gentlemen, when I said that. Love. This is 9 times out of 10 where you meet your first twin flame. Your twin flame, the love of your life. Mrs. Right, my other half, my person, the one I'm supposed to be with. I'm in love with them. This is the part where you are where you are struck by Cupid's arrow. You think you're falling in love with another person, but really you're falling in love. Ooh, boy, this is a message today. You're falling in love with a version of yourself that had all the trauma, but then it's disguised as love. This is why whenever you get with a person, they always reflect to you parts of yourself that you get frustrated in. So for example, right, if I have abandonment issues, whenever my girl comes home late at night and she's out with her friends, I'm gonna get really mad and furious. Why? Because that abandonment is getting triggered. What? Ladies and gentlemen, the hair on my arms are standing up. Your person triggers you because there's parts of yourself that you need to heal. This is why you get triggered by your other half. So throughout the course of the relationship, this is what happens. That's step 3. Step 4, right? And sometimes this can happen interchangeably with step 4 and 5. It does it. Sometimes step 5 happens first. Sometimes this, whatever. Whichever happens first, right? But the next step on the timeline of the generational curse breaker is initiation. This is when you get initiated or AKA spiritual awakening. This is when the love, right, that you encountered with the other person mixed with the trauma creates a sonic boom, which triggers you to awaken, which triggers you to become or realize that, man, you are more than this person. You are an infinite being with multiple different spiritual bodies. This is when this happens. This is when you start going down the rabbit hole of your spiritual awakening, of learning about who you are. During this point in your journey of being a generational curse breaker, you reach a crossroads. Shout out to Cody Rhodes. You reach a crossroads. This is when You find out if your partner also wants to go on that journey with you, or if you guys want to split or separate. This is usually the most painful part of the journey, right? Which leads me to step 5, which is the heartbreak. This is when everything you knew before, not just, when I say heartbreak, I don't just mean like breaking up with the person. I mean, the person you were before slowly starts to die, the ego death. This is where you go to hell and try to make, bro, this is when you go to hell and then you try to find your way back to heaven. This is when usually, when you go through hell and you're burning and you come back out, you're never left unscathed. You're going to have scars. But this is the part where the universe starts to test you to see if you're willing to handle what's the next step, which is the blessing. The blessing. This is when everything you've ever wanted starts to make its way to you slowly, because it can't just all come to you. It has to come slowly, because the blessing sometimes can be worse than the initiation. Because if you're not ready to handle 1 million people asking you for advice, you're screwed. If you're not able to handle the business that you're wanting, if you can't mentally handle all these requests for t-shirts, all these requests for catering orders, if you're not ready to handle that, you're screwed, you see? So the blessing, sometimes the universe protects you from it. This is the timeline of the generational curse breaker. We are the ones, as you can say, we're the black sheep of the family. We're the outcast. We're the ones that nobody understand, that people talk about behind our backs, that people always judge, people always doubt. Why does he do this? Why does she do this? Why is he like this? Why can't he do this? These are people who are relying on religion because they don't want to take responsibility for their actions. So then they judge the generational curse breaker for actually going through all the hell and healing all the trauma. Do you think you're the first one in your family to be depressed? You think you're the first one in your family to have an unplanned pregnancy? You think you're the first one in your family to be overweight? No, it's been going on for generations and generations. You think you're the first one in your family to be a womanizer, to have multiple different baby mamas? No. So how can you expect those people who you're trying to help, who you're trying to have, or who you're trying to free, how can you expect them to understand? They're going to be the ones who judge you the most. Man, you're not here to help anybody. While you're helping yourself and while you're freeing yourself, automatically everyone in your lineage gets healed. But sometimes the very people that you're trying to help and the very people you're trying to save and you're trying to love are the ones that are holding you back. What sense does that make? The very people that you're here to love and you're here to free in your own family are the ones that judge you the most, the ones that doubt you the most, the ones that put you down the most, and the ones that are responsible for your trauma. But part of the healing, ladies and gentlemen, is forgiveness. You need to be able to forgive every single person that has ever done you wrong. It don't matter who they are. It don't matter what they did. The forgiveness is not for them. It's for you. The forgiveness is for you. Being a generational curse breaker is being a chosen one, right? You may feel like God hates you, but in reality, God loves you. When God puts you through hell, God loves you. Some things I'm learning myself. Some things don't make sense to me either, people, but that's the name of the game. If you are a generational curse breaker, I'm sending you my love. I'm sending you my good energy. I'm sending you my vibes because it's not an easy job. You deal with so much. I understand. I wish I could be there for everybody, but this is my version of being there for everybody, because I understand it's not an easy job, bro. It's not an easy job. It requires you have to be very selfless. You have to always put other people first. You have to always worry about other people, and then you always end up being last. And then a lot of times in the process of doing that, you end up being the person that everyone forgets about, everyone drops until your blessings come. Then they want to come back. Nah. Understand this, people. You are a generational curse breaker. This is what you were meant to do. You're meant to